Welcome to the program, Keith Lee, the CEO of Booyah. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow, Diablo 2, right there to your right. That's a great game.
It's a great game. These are all the games that we've actually worked on. There's World of Warcraft, Diablo, also Ratchet and Clank back up at Insomniac Games. So a lot of really cool titles for the console, first-person shooters, as well as hardcore action RPGs.
So you came out of the game space, and now you're doing the iPhone sensation My Town.
That's right. Our background has always been in video games. We've been there in the last 10 years, focusing on interactive entertainment. Our DNA has always been to create some of the best consumer experiences out there. We care a lot about the brand quality of our products. And that's really what we're trying to carry over to My Town and any of the things that we build in the future. Our goal is always to focus 100% on engagement, on the quality of the products, and we really feel that the consumer experience, brand loyalty is very critical to where we want to go.
Now, I have My Town on my iPhone here, and I've been playing with it. I've seen this come up, like young people seem to play this. Explain, it's a little bit complicated. You have Foursquare on one side, which is just check-in. You have Gowalla in the middle, which is check-in with a little bit of virtual objects and a little bit of playfulness. And then you have My Town, which to me feels like I'm playing Farmville or We Rule or Monopoly, plus I'm doing Gowalla and Foursquare. Explain how the product works.
Sure. Well, just to answer your question first, Foursquare, Gowalla, and us, all great products. The only thing that we share in common is the idea of a check-in. But besides that, we utilize the check-in in a lot of different ways. We're not there to own necessarily a platform or the check-in per se. We're much more focused on how you use the check-in. And we ultimately know that check-ins will never be owned. It's going to get commoditized. It's going to get distributed across multiple apps. What we want to do is to really focus on a really great experience, and that's what My Town is all about. We wanted to create an idea that captures middle America, that captures anyone that downloads the app, that has global appeal. And so we came up with this idea for real-world property ownership. So being able to play real-world Monopoly, but instead of playing it on your tabletop, now you can actually play that everywhere across the country. One of the great things about the game is that every single location that you check into has a different price, and the price of that real-world Starbucks or FAO Schwartz in New York City is based on the number of check-ins and the people that have walked in there. And we also look at the momentum of each of those locations. So you're actually thinking about what are the most popular places in the country and figuring out how you can buy and sell and speculate. So it's a really fun game. We created this very deep sort of dynamic market economy. And because we have over 2.2 million users now, almost every single location in the country using City Search database and in the future with Google has been checked in. And there's actually been so many different places that have been bought. Almost like 95% of all the places in City Search database has been bought already.
Right. So I own the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf by our place, and I bought it for $500, and it's trending a little bit down. It's at 52 visitors. It's got popularity rating of 200. It's had 3 owners. It hasn't appreciated yet. I'm feeling a little bummed out about it. And I can go buy other places. I can sort of level up. There's objects you can buy. Who is this designed for? Is this like teenagers or young adults? Or would an adult in their 20s or 30s look at this and say, instead of playing Farmville, I'm going to play this game of buying and selling businesses? What's the demographic?
So in terms of the demographic, if you look it up right now on the App Store, we're still a top 25 free app. And that means that we actually perfectly represent a distribution of iPod and iPhone Touch users. It's 60-40 male-female. The 33% of our users are between 18 to 24, and kind of distribution kind of falls out from there. So from that perspective, what we've seen is that it's not necessarily just the hipster metropolitan folks that download this app to check in at French Laundry in Napa or Per Se with Thomas Keller. It's people who go to the CVS's and the Walmarts out there all across the country. We're really well distributed. And of course, with the Google deal that we just announced 2 days ago, we're going to be expanding to over 34 different countries very soon.
And you also had very big news earlier in the week, which is why I reached out to you guys. And it's interesting. I'm an angel investor in Gowalla, full disclosure, and I found out about my town around that time because I was doing some due diligence, and somebody said this thing has 2 million people, or at the time I don't know, 2 million is your registered users. That's the total number of people registered, not necessarily active users. But I would take it you have hundreds of thousands of active users.
That's correct.
And so somebody was telling me the real secret is my town. Nobody knows about it in the industry. This is a year ago. It's underground, but it's got twice as many users as Foursquare. Is that true? Are you guys bigger than Foursquare and Gowalla?
Well, the amazing thing is that we launched only 4.5 months ago. The other location-based apps have launched since South by Southwest of last year. We are doubling very, very quickly. And as I mentioned before, we're going to expand internationally. We're growing at 100,000 users a week.
Wow.
And it's really at the core, the idea is really easy to understand. People are playing it. And that's one of the reasons why we focus on entertainment utility and not necessarily social utility. So whenever we build our products, one of the biggest risks for just focusing on social utility is that you're hostage to the network effect. In contrast, for us, we focus 100% on the single user experience first, and we say, hey, how can we get someone to still play this when they're waiting at line at a Starbucks or at the gate of an airport or when they're watching a concert at Dolores Park? We wanted to compress all the sort of like contexts and time slices into smaller pieces so that people can play it even by themselves, and then we couple it with social aspects to it. And so we added a friends list. You can socially gift it now, which has now become very viral and actually allows our app to grow very quickly. And finally, we spent a lot of time thinking about our virtual economy. We didn't just say, hey, when you check in front of an H&M, you're just going to get an item, but what is that for? We actually thought a lot about how that could get incorporated back into our virtual economy. Right now, we have 250 million virtual item impressions every month, and we are continuing to close brand partnerships from H&M to Travel Channel, recently with Microsoft, HP, PowerMat just recently launched one, and we also did one with Olay. And each of these all kind of serve different purposes for the needs of the different brands and retail stores out there.
And so that is the business model, is working with the locations to enhance their presence?
There's a lot of different revenue models that we can benefit from. One of the great things about having an entertainment product like ours is that, as you know, the biggest proxy for monetizing through virtual goods is the time spent within the application itself. So for example, if I'm only spending 5 minutes to check in somewhere, I'm not going to go buy virtual goods if I'm only spending a very minimal amount of time per day using the product. In contrast, my town, people are spending over 70 minutes, that's over an hour, that's like longer than a TV episode per day on average. And so what we're seeing right now is that people are buying our virtual goods, the in-app purchases, even though our product is free and it's only available in the App Store. People are buying gameplay items, power-ups within our application, and we've generally always hit like a top 50, top grossing app as a free app just doing virtual goods, and that's just like one small portion of how we're monetizing. So if you look at our product, we also have location-based ads. And finally, we also do brand partnerships. And brand partnerships are very, very interesting because each of these different types of companies, from retail, they want to drive maybe people to go to their superstore like Borders. We can do that. If we want to serve a small trailer for Food Wars with Travel Channel when they check into Gott's Roadside or In-N-Out, we can do that. If you want to fill out a survey when you walk into a GameStop to figure out what game you like, that's something that we already do. All these things are designed through the virtual goods system to be able to provide a very unique experience and a branded ad unit and high level engagement. So ultimately, we own this very, very large consumer channel as we continue to grow in size.
It's fascinating. And now you guys have raised an extraordinary amount of money recently, $20 million in a C round. And before that, you'd raised, I think, a $4 or $5 million A round. $29.5 million in money raised.
That's right.
What could you possibly do with $20 million? It feels like your product's done, and this product looks like it would take, I don't know, 20 engineers to build and maintain, 30 people. Why so much money?
So actually, we only have 20 people in our company. Yeah. It's not so much about the absolute amount. What we want to do is to always think about strategically who we can hire as the top talent to focus on product and how we can continue to build out our platform. And as I said before, we're always looking beyond the check-in. The check-in is only 70% where we want to go. At the core, Foursquare, Gowalla, all these other companies, it isn't just about the check-in. It's really about offline validation of an activity that you do. If it's walking to a store, all the way to buying like a Iron Man 2 DVD. So what we're really looking forward against in the next 6 to 8 months is thinking about how we can validate offline conversion tracking. Everything from RFID to QR codes to barcode scanning. These are all the sort of things that we're excited about doing because it draws back again from our DNA. We were always excited to take very, very deep game motivators in video games, things that drove people to spend hundreds of hours to get an epic sword in a dungeon raid in WoW. Can we take those same concepts with the advent of new technologies like augmented reality as well as GPS to actually do stuff together with my friends so that I can go to Golden Gate Park to watch Daft Punk, or I can actually level up in fitness by walking into an Equinox, and it would actually validate these activities. And that's what excites us the most, is to actually level up in the real world and to motivate people to do that.
How much of this was inspired by video games versus reading science fiction? Because a lot of what you're talking about feels very William Gibson to me. Are you guys science fiction fans? Or where did these ideas come from? When did you first start to have these ideas of blending virtual worlds with the real world? When did you first hear that concept?
Well, it's kind of funny. All of the folks on our team are hardcore fantasy sci-fi fans. We read everything from like Game of Thrones to Orson Scott Card, you name it. And of course, we are always thinking about things that are exciting, like being able to walk into a store like Minority Report and actually get an offer that's like highly relevant for you. But at the core, we're much more excited about the experience itself and how instead of having someone just be stuck on a plasma screen to play a console game or to be completely inert on a laptop or a PC, we're just really inspired that the technologies that are available now can get people to get up, to be able to walk out, and to do things that they could do together with their friends. And so in terms of our background, in terms of sci-fi and everything like that, I mean, we play so many video games here, and that's part of the art of the craft. Sometimes a lot of people focus a lot more on the analytics mentality, which we all have. But one of the things that's missing is also the creative essence of building a franchise that will have a lot of loyalty and something that consumers will always want to go to. So,
will you build a second product? It seems like MyTown has a certain vibe to it. Are you going to become a multiple product company?
We definitely have plans, and we have a lot of thoughts in terms of the direction in which we want to go in the next couple of months. And so we'll probably announce kind of our high-level strategy in the next month or two with some bigger announcements in terms of what we're doing. Of course, multiple products is something that is very exciting for us because it could actually hit a different type of demographic.
Yeah.
And of course, with any multiple products moving forward, we can cross-promote and do a lot of other really great things. But that said, our ultimate goal is to make sure that every product that we create has a really, really great user experience and a very long life cycle. We're not there to create a hits-based business, but we're there to mitigate a lot of the risks that we're doing now and to continue to build really great end game content for MyTown and just to give the maximum value for our users in MyTown. So with that said, there's still unlimited potential for MyTown, and there's a lot of things that we're building in terms of technology to learn from our users and to see and track like what are some of the things that they do in the game.
What about Android? You know, iPhone, obviously the biggest platform for usage. It's a really great device, obviously, for you to develop for. But Android, you must be watching the statistics, is booming. When's the Android client coming out?
Yeah, we're extremely excited about the growth of Android. We're really encouraged, but it again draws back to our 100% focus on the user experience. And if that means that we have to give up several weeks to build an Android product versus making our core MyTown base better, we're always going to do that. And as I mentioned, we only have 20 people, and one of the reasons why we're raising money is to also consider strategically how we can scale and grow while still having the ability to make all of our products the highest quality that it could be.
You mentioned before QR codes, obviously barcodes from Japan. Those are those funny-looking square ones with the 4 corners. I'm envisioning a world where I don't just own perhaps a store, but I own the items within a store. Describe how that might work.
Well, I think there's a lot of people thinking about how everyone from Red Laser to being able to scan products inside a store opens up a lot of opportunity to track how users are even subconsciously looking at products on a store shelf. And that, for the Walmarts out there, that's really important, just simply because of just pure efficiency on the supply chain side. But that said, we're always thinking about the technology as a means to an end to create a great experience for the consumer. But then at the same time also funneling that data so then we can create a very strong profile of our users. So for example, in my town, my fiance would check in at Ad Hoc or French Laundry in Boulevard in San Francisco. If Groupon called us and said, hey, we want to funnel offers into your channel, clearly it would make more sense for them to put in wine offers or stuff related to vineyards, and she'll never ever get like a Carl's Jr. $6 burger deal or anything like that. So that's the sort of stuff that we're also thinking a lot about, how we can build a very, very strong analytics so that we can provide very relevant offers and benefits, real world benefits to all of our users. And I think people will continue to latch onto our products through time because of that.
What's the most insane behavior you've seen from your top users? I'm envisioning people running around town doing insane things to have ownership of very large places and using this game for hours a day with huge batteries hooked up to their iPhone. What's the craziest behavior of the top 2 or 3 users?
So the top 10 users were so insane because we actually ended up doing a deadlined contest where we would offer them everything from iPads to T-shirts if you had the highest net worth per state and also across the country. There was this one guy, he didn't even win. We ended up working a lot with him and getting his feedback, but he put an alarm every 27 minutes for about 3 weeks, and he would wake up in the middle of the night to continue to collect rent because he knew that it was a 27-minute timer before the rent would fill up again, so he can maximize the rent that he could get. And he spent a lot of time researching and talking on the forums to figure out which were the places all across the country that had a lot of value. So that was like insane, the fact that we actually had someone that lived on a schedule checking in to our product and collecting rent.
Yeah, see, I just hired somebody to actually maintain my kingdom in We Rule. I just outsourced it. I gave them my password. They're in Shenzhen, China, and it's like $8 a day, and I can have all the asparagus I want built and collected.
That's exactly what happens in World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
Chinese farmers. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's the same thing.
Have you spent time over there as a executive looking at all the gaming and madness in China?
Well, I actually was born in Hong Kong and I grew up there, and then I also lived in Europe. And so I've always been very, very bullish in terms of the markets there, the opportunity. It's, of course, a little bit more challenging in terms of monetization, but in terms of the growth potential and the opportunities there, I've looked at everywhere from Beijing, Shanghai, Korea, looked at the markets there. If you look at Mixi and Gree in Japan,
Yeah.
just all the different markets there, there's huge potential. People are much more open to, the freemium free-to-play model. I mean, that's where it really came from. There's a lot of really interesting business models that I think the West has still yet to learn from Asia.
I concur. I mean, the gaming on Mixi and Gree with buying virtual objects, when Tyler and I were in Japan the last time, we just saw people on the subway, either they're reading Yahoo News or they're fishing, they're fly fishing and breaking their fishing rod and having to buy another one that gets them better fish.
Yeah.
I think that's the most was that the most popular application?
Yeah, the Gree app was.
The Gree app was the
Yeah.
was the thing. So what's it like in the location-based space right now? What was it like, as an entrepreneur? What kind of process did you run to raise such an extraordinary amount of money for such a young company, such a small company, from such amazing investors? I mean, you got Jim Breyer from Excel, who is kind of busy with Facebook and other major investments.
Sure.
What was the process like? How many people did you talk to? How long did it take? You must have gotten an amazing, close to $100 million valuation from what I hear, $70, $80 million. What was the process like?
Well, we don't. I think the most important thing is that we made sure that we kept everything very confidential, and we made the window very, very small. And of course, there's always been a lot of different inbounds, just having lived up here in the Valley. And we just spent some time filtering the best people we wanted to talk to and work with, and just wanted to see if they'd be interested. Fortunately, some were interested, and we obviously don't disclose any of the players that were in there, and we just made sure that it moved very quickly. So we're just one of those guys that just like to do stuff in the background, get it done, so that we could focus on the product. I mean, that's really what we did.
Yep. Keep going. Yeah.
Oh, and it's in particular with Jim. Jim is just absolutely phenomenal. He's like literally at the epicenter of Facebook, Etsy, all the consumer media, Dell, Marvel, entertainment. These were all the different places and touch points that our company is moving towards. And it was just like a perfect match in terms of where we want to go. He understood the business, but more importantly than his relationships with these other businesses is the fact that he understood at the core that the product's the most important. And I just had to talk about that, and he just we totally gelled on that. And then we just moved forward after that. It was great.
So a pretty quick process, I'm guessing measured in weeks, not months, or maybe just a month or two to close the round?
Yeah, I'd definitely say it was in weeks.
Yeah. And obviously tremendous interest. The Foursquare rumors and people investing and everything, this has been dragging on for months now. What's your take on all of this?
Well, I'd say that Foursquare's potential in terms of everything from their business development, in terms of their brand recognition, has been phenomenal. So I'm very excited for them and in the direction in which we want to go. I think they have been phenomenal in paving the way of the check-in. And I think all of us now are really focused on what's next, what's beyond the check-in, and how can we grow our user base even more, and how can we focus on retention. I think all of us, we've met at lots of different conferences, and so we're all friends, and I think it's just great.
You talked about retention, keeping people interested. Obviously, this is going to be a big issue. Check-in burnout. Why am I doing this? The sort of trailing off. What's next? How do you combat that? And how big of an issue is it? Do people trail off pretty quickly?
Well, that's the reason why we focus on entertainment utility, because when I see my friends go to a bar, they might check in with the other products for about 2 minutes, and then they go into my town, and then 10 minutes later, I'm like, hey, we're ordering appetizers, and they're like, oh, and that's the difference, is that the check-in is just more of the springboard for the experience that we're creating, which is around really actually property ownership and all the other ideas that you can create from the check-in, so you can link in a gaming idea or an experience to the real world. So from that perspective, we've created all these small little compulsion loops that when you add it all together, people don't even realize they spent over 70 minutes a day playing our game. And that's the difference. And so our number one focus is engagement and retention. We track those numbers every single day. We barely ever look at our monetization revenue because we already know that stuff will kind of come. And we spend probably maybe 15 to 20% of our time looking at revenue generation. Right now, it's just 100% on engagement numbers and retention.
Final question. What impact is the iPad going to have on all of this? Obviously, the GPS one is out now. You don't have an iPad application out yet, I checked, unless I missed it. When does the iPad application come out, or are you going to make one? And what can we expect in it? Is there some new value proposition now that you've got all that screen real estate?
Well, on a high level, of course, everyone's just super excited about the iPad. We're thinking a little bit more about how the experience itself and the context of using an iPad should be different from using MyTown on the iPhone, especially because it doesn't necessarily have GPS. It only has Wi-Fi to do Skyhook validation, and there's no camera. So the experience that we want to do is much more of the, hey, you're going to spend about 20 minutes probably using our app on the iPad because you're on your bedside or you're sitting by the couch with your wife watching, Gossip Girl. So the experience and the context is going to be very different from a quick check-in and a quick collection of rent and skimming through your buildings when you're at the line at Starbucks. So we would actually almost have to think about how we can create an extension or another experience around MyTown versus just cloning it and putting it on the iPad. So with that said, we're spending a lot of time thinking about what the best method is for doing that, or if we should be, using those resources to expand on the Android or to make our core MyTown product even better.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the program. And,
thanks again.
Thank you for creating such an amazing product and being so honest and open about the raise. Good luck, and have a great weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers now. Bye. Wow. Pretty amazing how that thing is blown up.
Yeah, it definitely is tapping in. He called it compulsion loops, but it has that addictive Farmville quality, but applying it to real life, which people always can critique or criticize Farmville for, like, why would I care about virtual chickens and hoops? And this is not so virtual. It's tying it to... It's
the combination of it being virtual and not virtual that makes it super compelling. Is like, I care about this location, and now I've got the game aspect. So, like, I've been playing We Rule, because we're going to have them on the iPad show, I guess.
Yes.
At some point this week on iPad. And
this week?
Oh, this coming week?
Wednesday's episode, we're going to have Neil Young, CEO of Engimoco, makers of We Rule.
Please kill him for me, because We Rule is destroying my life. I basically now have the last week, because I'm trying to get to the, level that Leo Laporte is at and everything.
No.
And I've basically now said, I'm only going to plant these asparagus because they grow every 24 hours. So basically every morning when I have my coffee, I have to go get my stuff.
Sure.
But, I mean, how cool would it be if that had some relevance to the real world? And that's what, sort of...
Yeah, it's that
the
gap.
MyTown has said that it doesn't.
It strikes me that everybody's sort of chasing that, bridging that. I want to get a real world benefit to my online activity. I want to check in, and it does something.
Well, it's also if you look at fantasy sports, fantasy sports, it reminds me of, to a certain extent, which is a game made out of reality.
Right.
You have a game like, I'm going to pick my team, but the stats that happen in the real world are what your team does in your, right? That's how it works?
Yeah, and you can watch the game and you're following the game. It has real importance to your team.
Right, and so you're like, I want to know how many assists Rondo had, and I want to know how many points that Ray Allen had, and it matters because you put them together on your team.
Yeah.
It's pretty compelling. How has the first 2 weeks on the job been?
Very exciting. This is sort of the first episode of This Week in Startups I've sort of gotten together myself.
Yeah.
Like, book the Ask Jason and the Shark Tank and
Yep.
the guest, and so yeah, I'm just still getting a feel for it, but it's a lot of fun, and I mean things are going. Obviously, we're getting a lot of attention. People are really starting to notice what we're doing and take a close look at it. So it's exciting.
Right. Never get high on your own supply.
No.
All
humble.
that noise and all that press is in the rearview mirror.
Yes.
It's by definition reporting on things that have already occurred, like financings or products you've already made.
Right, you know.
Always look to the future.
Yes.
Constantly improving.
Onward and upward. And I think, that's been a big part of what I'm doing is just looking at all the shows. Here's what we're doing right. Here's what we could do better. And then every single time trying to make the show even just 1%, 2% better every week.
I love it. Keep increasing the value of my equity in that company.
Exactly.
All right, let's hear the news.
All right, so the big news we got to talk about, obviously, we'll get to some Facebook stuff. We'll talk about Facebook.
That's your news theme.
That's my new theme song. But we got to talk about Google's I/O Developer Conference. Tons of big news coming out of there.
Sure.
Possibly, the one maybe that I found most intriguing, Google announced their Google TV platform. It's a bold attempt to merge the web and TV while maintaining the individual integrity of both media and to get in on some of the $70 billion spent annually on TV advertising. Basically, it's a way to view web content on your television. It's built around search rather than the sort of guide paradigm we would always sort of think of. You go to your guide, you see what's on. In this one, you basically search, you would type in, 30 Rock or NBC or AMC or whatever, and you would just see all the episodes everywhere they are available online to stream. The units are going to have Wi-Fi, they're HDMI compatible, they come with keyboards, they have a Chrome browser installed on them. You can access the Android market, you can get Android apps on it, and this one is awesome. Android phones are going to work as remotes. So even if your house has 3 Android phones, you can each use them. Everybody can use them as a remote.
Yep.
And it's all, of course, compatible with Flash. Sony's already announced as a partner. Google TV is going to come bundled with Sony Internet TVs and Blu-ray players. Logitech has plans for a set-top box. Dish Network has plans to maybe do a set-top box. So is this the game changer that it sounds like it could be, or is this kind of going to be another one in the long line of exciting concepts from Google that then sort of fizzle, like Buzz or Wave or something like that?
This is the real deal. I think that they watched things like Boxy.
Yeah.
And
TiVo. I mean, TiVo's definitely had similar kinds of
TiVo
plans.
has had stuff. I have the Samsung television that has a little toolbar at the bottom for Yahoo. You can put your Flickr images on it.
Right.
You can log in. You can get your stock quotes. So if you had stock quotes on Yahoo, they come up on your TV screen. This is very compelling. It's interactive TV at its best, and it is going to be awesome for original content programmers on the internet.
Yes.
Because you will be side by side with the programs available on television,
Right.
without advertising, and instantly available in an easy-to-navigate interface. I think that these are all the things that add up to why you see Leo Laporte adding a CEO of his company and bringing on Tom Merritt. I think Rev3 has got a bright future. This weekend obviously does. And for Google, it makes a lot more sense for them to own the technology and the platform on your television than it does for them to try to take the inventory from the networks and sell it through computers, if you
Right.
catch my drift.
Yeah.
So this will be a box initially that you'll be able to buy.
No, it's a platform that
right.
they're working with other partners. So
Right.
partners will build a box that has Google TV
Well,
on it.
and the box would be your DVD player, your existing
or your
DirecTV.
Blu-ray, or your right, exactly.
However,
you're buying a set-top box that has Google TV.
Does that mean I could also buy a? I have 2 Mac Minis at home with Boxy on them. I don't use it actually, but I do use the Mac Minis to load up Netflix.
Yes.
And watch video that way. So does that mean they're going to come out with a dedicated box with the Chrome operating system on it when they release that OS, and then you will boot up from that box and have a PVR built in?
Right now, it doesn't seem like Google is developing their own branded, like it's the Google box. It seems like they're working entirely with partners. It's going to be the Sony. I'm sure eventually they will.
Why wouldn't TV manufacturers add this into their TV themselves?
Yeah,
I mean, partner with
Yeah.
Google and
Google is
like Sony's
basically
doing.
selling this right now as it lives alongside your TV. It doesn't. It's
Yeah.
not a replacement. It's not a new box. You get it, and then it lives alongside whatever your other setup is.
I think that this is what Myth TV was supposed to be. If you guys followed Myth TV for the last couple of years, it's a platform. It lets you do DVR, and you can, but it doesn't. It's not easy to set up, and it's the open source sort of DVR. If they include this, include a DVR with this, with the programming guides, and allow you to record television shows, and then seamlessly interact with Hulu at the same time. So if I'm pulling up Lost episode and it's on Hulu, I get it there. If I forgot to record it, whatever, or it gives me both options side by side.
That's the cool thing. You would type in Lost, and it just brings up, here's every episode we've got, and here's like 4 different places to see it. So you can see iTunes, Amazon, Hulu.
Right.
It's on, you know,
$1.99, free with commercials.
Right. And I
one platform to unite them all.
Yes, it's one place where you can go, and basically, if it's on the internet, they're going to serve it up to you, and you have the option of watching it.
This could be very large. I think this is one of those things. It's not an Orchid. This is something that, like Gmail, could have staying power. It depends on how they stick to it and evolve it. I have a little bit of a suspicion that Google is getting a little ADD because of the size of the company. Like Buzz was an incredibly promising product, and the 2 or 3 obvious things they should have done, they really haven't kept up. I mean, this thing came out at the TED conference months ago.
Yeah.
And the 2 things they really need to do is, 1, make it work on Google for domains. So everybody at Mahalo or This Week In or Calacanis.com had a shared Buzz for only that group, like a Yammer or social text.
Definitely. If we had just a Mahalo in-house, we'd be using it every day.
Exactly. And it needs to stand on its own as its own at buzz.com or buzz.google.com instead of being inside of Gmail, which not everybody wants to use Gmail, or have these things, 2 metaphors mixed. They really haven't iterated enough on Buzz. And it's like they come out with something super promising, and then they don't finish.
They sort of leave it as it was, and it stagnates very quickly. It seems like that keeps happening.
I mean, Google Reader, I think, could evolve more, and it feels like they get 80%, and then what you need to do is double down. They should double the size of the Buzz team and double the size of the Reader team, and then if it doesn't work, then shut it down. But it doesn't feel like they doubled down. Orchid is big in some countries. Well, why not double it down and make it work here? It's a weird product decision-making process they have at that company. And so there's no way to tell if this is going to be big or small.
Yeah.
But it is promising.
It seems very promising. It's just like the final culmination of a project that different companies have been trying to do. I mean, we remember Web TV and Apple TV, which was a slightly different sort of concept. It was all iTunes-based. But it just, the idea of like unite the web and television in one experience has been going on since I was in
Android and
college,
Chrome seem to be projects that Google is dedicated to.
Yes.
Buzz, Reader, I don't know. And I wish they would make the level of commitment to those products. If they're coming out with products, just be dedicated to it. I'd like to see less products out of Google, more products killed, and more products doubled down on. They have the resources. Make those products great.
Yeah.
And the similarity between Chrome, Android, and Google TV is that it partners with hardware, which they aren't necessarily so great at, and other people are great at it, and they leverage that,
They're platforms. I mean, and Google Docs is, that's something that they've invested in. I mean, every time, and AdSense and AdWords, you log in, it's like, oh, we have interface number 4, analytics, interface number 3. They're constantly pushing those products, and it seems like there's another class of products that don't evolve that much.
They kind of push them out there, and then it just sort of drifts.
It drifts. They don't want they don't want to shut them down, but they don't want to push them to the level of success they need. I guess we should be happy that they exist at all because they're free and great.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if they employ on Google TV the same sort of platformish mentality where you could have your DVR as an app within Google TV. I'm assuming that's kind of the play. Like somebody build the DVR app for Google
right
TV.
now, it sort of sounds like, I mean, eventually an app for sure.
Well, I think it would be built into the platform.
Yeah, for now they sort of seem to be like, there's your TV.
They would get into media issues with that.
Oh, I see. So they don't build it. So just like they don't build the Chrome extension to download YouTube videos.
Correct.
They wouldn't build this one, but that would be very interesting if somebody builds an application for Google TV that records a lost television show as an MPEG as opposed to a DirecTV PVR or a TiVo PVR, which can't make it into a file format that you could save.
It's also the third kind of leg to make a triangle between the phone and the computer. So when you do have that DVR and you want to watch it on your computer, on your phone, they're both Android, Chrome OS-ish.
It starts to get into the Slingbox space a little bit. Like we could be moving stuff around the network. Yeah. This is your library of content.
Right. But Google is talking about the web-based audio also came out of the Google I/O.
Yes, their version of iTunes, basically.
Yeah, cloud-based.
Google's.
And
perhaps. It's not clear exactly what this product is.
Yeah, I mean that one is sort of. I mean, it's definitely online sort of access music. You can get it through iTunes or any other sort of streaming or music service. So it seems, and it's auto sync with your Android phone. So you got it hooked up. Song gets on your desktop, no matter where you got it from. Boom, it's on your Android.
Double Helix. That's what I'm saying. That product's amazing.
Right, that is
Keep
amazing.
going.
So one other thing we got to talk about that came out of Google's I/O is Android Froyo. Google debuted their upcoming Android OS. It's codenamed Froyo. Among the claims, it plays both Flash and HTML5. It's significantly faster than its predecessor. They're saying it's faster than the iPad, than any other OS out there. It offers tethering and Wi-Fi hotspot support, which is big. Wirelessly streams music from iTunes or any other music library. Apps move freely from your desktop to the device. It's basically a checklist of responses to complaints people have about their iPhone.
Yep.
So is this the iPhone killer? And are any of these features what it's going to take to sort of overcome the branding that Apple has done with the iPhone so successfully for the past few years?
The fact that Google has made a viable coexister to the iPhone is a miracle in and of itself.
That's true.
Now the product you're describing is an iPhone killer if executed properly. If I can take my phone and I can make it into a hotspot and put my 2 or 3 other computers on it, tether it, and stream music and do all these things, run Flash, they are really going to have an impact on the iPhone because people are sophisticated when it comes to the features of their phones. I think that we don't give enough credit to people. They know what tethering is. People know, like, I can use it. And if they don't know, they will, because they'll understand how valuable it is.
I was thinking this could be one of those things that flips that switch, because I don't know if tethering is one of those things everyone's looking for now, but as soon as they see their friend do that,
it's like I gotta have
on a laptop somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi, it's like, oh, just hook it into my phone. That's going to be that light bulb moment of like, oh, I need to be able to do that.
Or I'll just turn on my hotspot on my phone. Like, what is the HTC phone that has the hotspot in it now? Is it Incredible?
Incredible.
So that's going to be able to, because right now I have the Sprint Overdrive, which is kind of a flaky product right now, to be honest. The battery doesn't work so well, and it doesn't seem to get a good steady connection, and it has to be rebooted. I've replaced it already. But I have to carry that box with me everywhere, and the battery doesn't last that long. So it's basically I use it for 45 minutes or an hour, and it's dead. And then it doesn't wake up, and so I wound up getting the iPad 3G because I thought I would use my iPad with a overroute, and it didn't work. So much easier if I didn't have to carry that, and my iPhone or my BlackBerry would just share the connection with the iPad, because it's very rare that I'm using both.
Yeah.
And if I'm out with my wife or with the kids or whatever, and I got 2 iPads with Wi-Fi, and my phone can let them attach, it's great.
Yeah.
And these are real features, and yeah, I don't think that Apple's in any kind of trouble. I mean, if they make the iPhone cheaper and cheaper, I mean, it hasn't gotten to the point where iPhone hasn't had to discount their phone.
Yeah.
So you will know Apple is in trouble when they stop breaking records for their earnings and their cash pile stops growing by billions and billions, and it doesn't seem like an end is in sight. Or they break their Verizon contract, I mean the AT&T contract, which doesn't seem to have an end in sight. Yeah. So if Apple's in trouble, they're not showing any signs of it, because he is not relenting on any of the issues. He's not. He told off the Gizmodo writer.
He's writing angry emails.
Yeah, 2 in the morning. Told the Gizmodo writer what a troll he was, and that he.
What have you ever done?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love gangster Steve Jobs. I'm like, I mean, makes me look sane in comparison to the emails I write at 2 in the morning. I look sane, but it's great. The guy from Gizmodo is a jerk off, and it's great that he told him he's a jerk off, because the guy hasn't done anything to help society or make anything.
That was to Ryan Tate. That email was to the
Ryan's an okay guy.
Ryan Tate, the Valleywag blogger.
Yeah, who was admittedly said he was drinking while he sent it or whatever. But
I don't know.
So that means he was trolling. He was a drunk troll. And Steve Jobs treated him like a drunk troll, which is, hey, you don't have to use our thing. Go use the Android phone and have the battery last less, have it crash. Go download porn applications. That's not what we're building. We're building for families, where it's harder to get to the porn. It's harder to crash your device. It's harder for the device to freeze. Yeah. I mean, my iPhone doesn't crash. My iPad has not crashed yet.
My iPad really doesn't ever crash.
And my iPad lasts 11 hours, 12 hours. I picked up an iPad, the other one I'm not using right now. I picked it up after 5 days of not using it. I still have 40%. Just sitting there, and I used it, it's unbelievable. So, whatever. I think we should move to the next story.
Okay.
That was a segue.
Yeah, and a good one. Do you want to talk some more about Facebook? There's
Keep
definitely
going.
Facebook stuff.
Keep going.
So it seems like the mainstream
Speed round.
press. Seems like the mainstream press is finally starting to catch wind of the size and scope of this Facebook story. The May 31st cover of Time magazine. It's a feature story entitled "Facebook and How It's Redefining Privacy." The article concludes that Facebook may soon become, and this is a quote, "the web's sketchy big brother, sucking up our identities into a massive Borg brain to slice, dice, and categorize for advertisers." So considering that the circulation and arguably the impact of news weeklies like this is on the decline, how significant is it that a mainstream magazine like Time is now sort of on board with this case? And is this what it's going to take to really shift public sentiment?
This is exactly what I predicted. I said this will be a niche issue until it's not. And at some point, it will make it into the mass, and then this will be a very big problem for Facebook. Guess what it is? I predict that Facebook will be facing many more lawsuits, both from individuals and states and countries, and different regions. And I predict that they will be at a Senate hearing at some point soon, and you will see Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg there explaining the madness and the fact that you could have a Time cover like this come out. And I'll be honest, the story is worse than the cover, how it's redefining privacy. I mean, people say privacy is not an issue for people. Why is it on the cover of Time? It apparently is. And that search that, I forgot the name of the search tool that came out, where you can just search people's statuses, where they're like, I'm playing hooky from work, or my boss is a jerk.
There is that new
or
service.
HIV test, or,
right, any keyword that's in a status update you can
and
look up.
People don't know. I mean, it is very clear that Facebook has duped its user base and that Facebook is a bad actor, and now it's in the mainstream press. I don't know that it's going to slow Facebook down in any way, but I do think it's significant because now Facebook has been tagged as untrustworthy. And when this movie comes out, it is going...
The Social Network.
Yes. When the Social Network comes out based on the Accidental Billionaires, depending on how it portrays Zuckerberg, and it sounds like early reports are not well, this idea that all press is good press is not actually true.
Right.
Bad press is bad press. And Facebook is, I'm not going to say this is going to derail their IPO, but this is tarnishing it in a big way. And the fact that they are not responding to anything and they're sticking their head in the sand, I mean, somebody needs to take whoever's doing PR at Facebook, drag them to the back of the building and shoot them and put them in a ditch. Whoever the PR people are at Facebook are destroying the company.
They had their main, I forget the guy's name, they had their
the
main
troll.
PR guy last week who sort of fell on his sword and said, this is my fault, we didn't explain it well enough to people.
No, but then there was the other guy who was saying that Facebook has given this incredible gift to the world.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because it's personalized every site. We've invented personalization. And Danny Sullivan from Search Engine Land was like, no, Bezos was doing personalization on Amazon in 95, 96. Like, Zuckerberg did not create and give this incredible gift to everybody.
And I mean, you could opt out if it was a gift. You could say, I don't want to be part of that. No thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's open book. Youropenbook.org. I have it up on my iPad here. I'm gonna turn it around, and it sort of updates anybody who's not.
Yeah, I have it on my thing here.
Yeah, there you go.
And here's somebody who said cheated on a test, and these are all the people who said cheated on a test. And if I said my boss is an I don't want to say exactly what I said, but my boss is.
Yeah, there you go.
There are people who are saying, "Oh, look, and there's Tyler." It'd be great if it was Tyler and Lon.
Never. I mean,
I just put my boss is an a-hole.
A-hole, yeah.
But I put out the actual word.
There's a lot. This is still going.
This is still going. I mean, wow. And people, I put a very specific phrase, and this guy Danny Phone, I don't mean to get him in trouble, but is saying his boss is an a-hole.
Exact.
Manbir Singh said it as well, mobily. These people have no idea that they're saying this publicly.
They think this is only going out
to their friends. It's just going to their friends, but it's public.
Yeah.
How about I stole?
Just I stole.
I stole. Well, I mean, somebody might say, I stole this,
Somebody's heart or whatever.
I stole this from I mean, people might be joking, like I stole this flow or whatever, but I could just say, I stole money. You know it's going to come up like...
tons of responses.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever stole all my money from me at work...
She's been victimized.
You have to put it in quotes to get it.
To get it,
string.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, anyway, you get the idea. They have I hate my job, insanity, gay, going to a strip club.
That's a good one.
Oh, absolutely. Going to a strip club.
Going to the
Look
strip
at this
club.
guy who's going to the strip club.
He is at
Hey,
least
what's
dressed
up, Mike?
for it. At least he's
I want to go to the
dressed
strip
for
club with Mike. Oh, my God. Yo,
His
Mike
middle
is a
name's
player. Yo,
Michael
what's up?
Cheeks Levesque.
Yo, what's up, Cheeks?
That guy can't be real. That is a fictional account someone has set up. I don't believe it.
Yo, Cheeks and Leland are going to the club.
They're going together, those two
Cheeks
guys.
and Leland.
This week in lap dance, right there.
Oh, my God. Yo,
I'm
what's
writing
up?
that down.
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Malcolm's at the strip club right now.
I
think that's in the strip
At
club.
the strip club.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
That's genius. You could, this is hours. This is hours of
I want to go to the
productivity
strip club with
lost.
Jay. Yo,
Is
check
he
out
in
Jay.
the Hollow HQ?
He's got purple hair, man. Where is he?
Looks like he's right outside.
Yo, what's up, Robbie? Robbie Potet. What's
Going
up,
to the
man?
strip-
Let's go. Let's go to the club.
I can't. This is why they told the cast of Jersey Shore not to take their
Yo,
to take their Facebook.
Yo,
down.
Karen Gibbs is
Oh,
he's
man.
ready for the club. He's fine. I've never seen somebody drink 4.
That is the best profile picture ever.
Yo, I should go friend him. Oh wait, I don't have an account.
Yeah, he should put that on LinkedIn. That'd be a better LinkedIn photo, I think.
Yo, what is up with these
Going
guys?
to the strip club.
These guys are, they're definitely on their way to the strip club.
Yeah,
they're raging.
They just got back from the strip club.
Oh, they got back from the
Those
strip
guys-
club?
That looks like post strip club.
Had a one-night stand with.
Oh.
Okay, we have to stop.
We could do this. This could be its own show. This week in Facebook status updates. I'd watch that.
Karen Gibbs. What's up, player?
Oh, I love that guy. I'm gonna go friend that guy when we're done
Oh,
here.
God, it's so great. Next story, please.
Let's talk about Twitter. Twitter has released its new version of Tweety. It's been renamed simply Twitter to the App Store. It's already the #1 free app. It's probably the #1 overall app.
You're talking about the iPhone application.
I'm talking about the Twitter iPhone
The
app.
official
which
iPhone
It
app.
used to be Tweety. They purchased 8-Bit, the company that
Yep.
made Tweety. They've now re-released it as just Twitter for iPhone.
Yep, I have it.
It's currently featured as the iPhone app of the week. Tweety had already been pretty popular without the Twitter brand name and at a price of $2.99, so making it free obviously gave it a big boost. The main cause for criticism, what criticism there is, it's gotten pretty positive reviews, but it seems to be the focus on the use of Twitter's retweet feature, though you can open up a tweet and click send and retweet it conventionally if you like. So you've tried it, obviously, you've downloaded it. What do you think? And do you think it made sense to just buy Tweety and basically reskin it instead of creating a new one from scratch like Twitter did for Android and BlackBerry?
This is a way for Twitter to do two things. One, get a team member on who's building it, right? So you get some
Right.
talent. They must have got it at the right price. They have plenty of money, but I'm sure they got a great deal on it. And it looks like goodwill to the industry. We're not going to just screw our partners. We bought one. I'm surprised they didn't buy Uber Twitter. It probably wasn't available at a reasonable price. Surprised they didn't buy Seismic, but it's got a sort of a different name. It would have been nice for them to buy TweetDeck or Seismic and make a $30 million purchase or whatever those companies are probably worth, $20 million, $30 million, maybe $40 million. However, because this is named Twitter and it's the official application, it's going to have 80% of the market.
Yeah.
90% of the market. I stopped using Uber Twitter, and I've stopped using Hootsuite, and I've started using the two branded ones.
I still love Hootsuite on the web, I should say.
Hootsuite on the web is amazing
I use
when you have
Twitter
multiple
on the
accounts.
phone now, but
Yeah.
Hootsuite on the web
So-
is ideal.
It was a good idea for them to buy it because it gives them a little bit of cover of screwing their partners. But the truth is, if you build something for somebody's platform, you cannot be surprised when they include it in their core product. And I don't think many of the developers feel like they were screwed, except for the TweetDecks and Seismics of the world.
Yeah.
Because those guys really took a lot of investment and built really robust products with teams that have a dozen people or 2,000 people, whatever it is. I don't know the exact size of those companies. But those are the companies that are truly screwed, I think, because they're only going to ever be a couple of percentage points better than the official applications. 10%, 20%. It's not enough to switch.
Yeah.
Maybe for the most sophisticated users, the top 10% or 20% will try those things, but you know, I think Twitter's got more ethics than Facebook does, you know, in terms of these issues. But you know, if you're building for another platform, that can be included in it. And there was just sort of this moment in time when Twitter was too busy keeping the servers up and running that they would conflict with their developer pool.
Facebook actually has its own iPhone app also this week. It also just came out.
Yeah, but why would you use it?
Yeah, no, that's what I was wondering. I mean, I checked that one out too. I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. It's Spaces is what they're running it on, so you can like here's your Twitter Space and here's your Facebook, and it's also got Ping FM. But yeah, I'm not sure it's enough to wean people away from the official Twitter app just to have Facebook on there.
People don't.
You know.
Most people are. It's like somebody creating a Microsoft Word competitor that has incredible mail merge features that are better than the native mail merge features. Like for the person who does mail merge all day, it's absolutely a must.
Right.
Nobody else cares.
Yeah.
I'm just writing a memo.
Basically.
You know, like I'm just doing a tweet. I want the fastest, most stable, easiest to use one.
I just want to see who's talking to me.
Also, these will be bundled on phones. They will be included. So if it's included, nobody's ever going to go to the store and type in a search for Twitter. They're not going to even, the average person's not going to know these other Twitter clients available.
Yeah, they're
just going to get a phone and be like, oh, there's Twitter on here. Like when I got my BlackBerry, it had Facebook on it.
I'm sure they must have had that problem. That was really what must have been driving.
Oh, I talked to him. He told me
yeah.
that's what the big problem they had was people would type in a search for Twitter and they get Uber Twitter or Seasmic.
I don't mean that. I mean the hardware manufacturer's like, you know, we'd really like to have a Twitter app on our phone.
Absolutely.
We'd like to be able to say, you know, and it comes with Twitter.
Phone has Twitter on it, but you don't offer an app.
They need to have their brand, like exactly what you guys are saying. Like they need to have their brand represented with the name of their brand in the mobile space.
But they can say it's because users were confused. But when you have a hardware manufacturer coming to you saying, we want to bundle your app that you don't have.
I did think it was interesting that they used the avatar that they're using for it is the it's the bird silhouette image you'd see if you don't have an avatar. It's not the T or like there's a lot of symbols that are more associated with Twitter than that one. I thought that was interesting. You would think they would use like that bubble T that everyone knows means Twitter.
It's funny. I was just looking at the open book, and did you see their tagline?
Yes, it's they trust me, dumb Fs. Yeah, that's their credo.
Oh, that's so great. And you know, if you didn't say that, I don't know if you heard my rant before, but if you didn't say that, wouldn't you come out and deny it? Wouldn't you say that's not true?
You would immediately say, I never said that. Somebody misquoted me or wrote something I didn't say. I mean, anytime somebody comes out and says, you said this and I have an IM and you didn't say it, you would deny it.
All right, so here's what he said. According to Business Insider. Yeah, so if you ever need info about anyone at Harvard, just ask. I have over 4,000 emails, pictures, addresses, SNS. Redacted friend's name. What?
That's the person who he was talking to.
How'd you manage that one?
Identity.
No, that's John Redacted.
No, yeah. Frank Redacted.
Frank Redacted. It's immediately redacted. Zuck, people just submitted it. I don't know why. They trust me. Dumb Fs. I mean, what more do you need to know?
I don't know. To me, that one, it's like he was young. You say things on IM. You don't necessarily mean.
What's the difference between when you're 18 and 26 years old? 19 and 26 years old, you're that different?
I think you maybe have good sense once you're the CEO of a major company to not be sarcastic and snarky.
Oh, okay. So, but you do admit that he probably feels this way.
I think yes, there is probably a part of him that feels like the people who are using my site are kind of dumb to turn all this stuff over to me. I have made no promises about keeping it safe for them. Or I'm sure there's a part of him that feels that way. But at the same time, I think that it's taken out of context. And I've said snarky things on IM to people before I don't really mean. I wouldn't want thrown back in my face one day.
Audience loves that. Wow, really good commentary. Next story.
Toyota Tesla.
Because we have 3:30 another show coming up. We got to get out of here.
4. This week in Android. This week in Android is at 4.
This week in Android is at 4. So people. Okay, good.
We should clear out soon. Yeah. And they'll be talking all those Google I/O stories.
I don't want the CEO of This Week In getting mad at me again.
Going to be a lot of great commentary about all the I/O discussions on Android. Ashley, the host, is an insane expert on this stuff. I mean, she's
Yes.
going to have opinions. So we'll make this the last story.
And she's very interactive with the audience. She talks to them.
She's fantastic.
She's probably
yeah,
the best
she's doing
at
a
it
great
on the
job.
network.
Yeah.
She really talks to the fans.
Toyota and Tesla announced a new collaboration. Toyota agreeing to purchase $50 million in Tesla stock. That transaction will wrap up after the IPO, with Tesla helping Toyota to develop new electric vehicles. Governor Schwarzenegger called it an explosion, although you'd think he'd avoid using words like that, being Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it's an explosion. It's going to create 1,000 new jobs in California. Tesla's also going to take over the NUMMI plant in Fremont that was formerly owned by Toyota and GM. It was shut down in April. That cost the state 5,000 jobs when it shut down. That's now going to produce the Model S EV beginning in 2010, hopefully by the end of this year.
Yep.
Musk says he hopes that Elon Musk, the CEO, founder of Tesla, says he hopes that Toyota's help will allow him to create an electric car for around $30,000. So who's the big winner? Is it Tesla, Toyota, California? Is it everybody? Who benefits the most from this arrangement?
Tesla shareholders, I would say, would be the #1 beneficiary here because this is right before their reported IPO. I think they filed already. I don't have any inside information on any of this. I didn't know about this ahead of time. I'm friendly with Elon Musk, the CEO, but he, obviously doesn't tell me when these things are happening. So I read about it yesterday, like everybody else. Very significant because going into the IPO, it's a big boost. It's massive credibility that Mercedes and Toyota have both put $50 million into this. I guess that means they probably own 3, 4, 5% of the company. They're going to triple their money when it IPOs, and it ensures that these cars are going to get built. And as you guys know, I drive a Tesla Roadster for almost be 2 years this fall, and I have put 7,000 miles on. It's an absolutely delightful car. And I was driving the Corvette the other day, and it ran out of gas, and I had to go to the gas station. It was a bizarre feeling. Really? I had not been to the gas station in a year.
Wow.
I never go to the gas station. I just plug it in. So at the pace batteries are going, and at the pace this company is getting momentum, they really are going to have $30,000, $40,000 electric cars. And I think that the next car people buy could, in fact, be electric. And we've been saying that for a long time, but right now, I know 5 or 6 people with Teslas. You guys know 1 or 2. And I think this will snowball to the point where, like right now, it's like, oh, the CEO has a Tesla. And then it will be like, oh, the VP of sales has a Tesla, sedan. And then it will be like, oh, well, you know what? They're just like Toyota Priuses.
If they can get them down to $30K, a lot of people are going to start having a Tesla.
Who wouldn't? I mean, it cost me $2, $3 to go 100 miles.
I mean, that's when it starts to become...
Cost me, like the amount of money you spend on 1 gallon of gas gets me over 100 miles. Just on a cost basis.
Yeah.
The amount of money saved is incredible. It cost me $3 to do a full charge, 200 miles. It's incredible. So kudos to them. Next story.
Let's see. The next story we'll talk about Y Combinator. Startup incubator Y Combinator has closed an $8.25 million fund led by Sequoia Capital. It also includes Ron Conway and others. This is meant to be a long-term fund that will allow Y Combinator to add more startups to its incubation program. It's expected that 35 new startups will join in the summer of 2010. That's compared to 27 in the last round, the winter 2010 round. Past Y Combinator startups include Dropbox, Posterous, Looped, Justin TV, Scribd, and startups that were in Y Combinator and have since been sold include Reddit, Omnizio, Zenter, ClickPass, and DiviShot, which sold to Facebook. So to what do you credit the runaway success, it seems, of the Y Combinator program?
Paul Graham, who runs it, is legit. There's a lot of young people who have no experience building a company, but they know how to use the tools. And they have energy, and they don't want to go work on Wall Street. So a lot of our intelligent people and driven members of Gen Y actually want to create something and be entrepreneurial. The down market, the collapse of the economy and jobs is always great for startup companies because there's more unemployed people to go work on them. And this type of option has never existed before. This didn't exist when I was coming up. You didn't have the option of joining Techstars or Y Combinator and getting $10,000 or $20,000 to live off for the summer and build a site. If it did, I would have been in that. Totally. I was begging people to explain to me how to start a company. And then they just walk people through it. It's awesome. And this is what America needs. It's a big deal. And really what should be happening is every city in America should have one of these. And instead of giving $1 billion to the next bailout of some Goldman Sachs or nonsense or AIG or whoever, we should take the next bailout and start 100 incubators and give $15,000 to $25,000 to a bunch of 25-year-old kids and tell them build something interesting on a global basis that makes money and see what happens. Nothing to lose. And Y Combinator is now obviously got bigger ambitions.
Yeah, I mean 35. It's up almost 10 new startups over the last time they did it, which is only earlier this year.
Having the money to fund them is like perfect. And obviously, you know, I'm an angel investor. I watch the Y Combinator companies, and if any Y Combinator company said, I want to get a cup of coffee, I would say yes. So it's actually a brand. It actually means something. The fact that Sequoia is giving them the money to do this is the biggest compliment you could get, and Ron Conway being involved is another big compliment. So yeah, congratulations to them.
Okay.
Tyler, any thoughts?
Insights?
No. No insights from Tyler.
No.
0 insight day.
Oh, I hate those.
It's a terrible day.
I need at least one quality insight.
No pressure. Show's wrapping up. 7 minutes to 7 minutes or nothing, Tyler. 7 minutes or no insights. Okay, let's finish. I think I have a meeting going. Do you have a meeting coming up? Wow, 2-hour mark.
We can keep going because I have one more story, but that was my last prepared story. I have another one we could throw out there if you want to keep going.
Throw the last one out.
So
the engineers are having a heart attack.
We'll talk about professional investment community SumZero. It was started, interestingly enough, it sort of ties in with everything. Divya Narendra, who was one of the co-founders of ConnectU with the Winklevosses, way back that company that has accused Mark Zuckerberg of faking them out and stealing their ideas.
Sure.
He has created this new, it's sort of LinkedIn meets Wikipedia, but for buy-side investors. So if you're a buy-side investor, you work for a hedge fund or something, you can write reports about, you know, this stock I'm looking at, this company I'm looking at is interesting, and it's a wiki and a community. You have to participate in order to be there, but then you can sort of share information with other hedge fund managers. This sort of back and forth never really existed in that sort of world before. So it's pretty new. They've already got over 3,500 hedge fund, private equity, and mutual fund analysts as members. These include people from really prominent funds like Blackstone, SAC, and you know you have to basically sign up, and then they have to approve you. So you have to be sort of in that.
So basically,
world.
I'm going to put in information about deals I'm looking at, so that my competitors can get intelligence on it.
And everybody is writing reports that they're then sharing. So it's like a pool of information where people are writing about
I don't know if
these reports.
I don't know if I would trust that information so much if my competitors were writing in there. I don't know how collaborative it will be. And gosh, I mean, how much more of an advantage do the people on the other side of the table have to have over the American public?
Yes, I mean it does sound like it's this closed network. The thing they are
why
doing.
I don't buy stocks. I mean, it's a rigged game. I mean, it's not literally a rigged game, but it essentially turns out to be a rigged game because you don't have access to the CEOs or information. You can be sure that people putting in tens or hundreds or billions of dollars in these companies, hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, they know the CEOs, they know the CFOs, and they get to talk to them anytime they want, and they're at the country club with them, so they know where these companies are going.
In fairness, they are every week they make one investment recommendation totally public. You can go to, it's on TechCrunch. It's one of the top stories on TechCrunch right now.
Yeah.
So they are sort of making an effort to be a little bit transparent and show people outside what's going on inside the network. Obviously, there's way more information going around. It's SumZero right there, that middle one on the top. So, you know, I mean, and there's examples of them opening it up and sending out, you know, weekly. They send an email, weekly recommendation email. Last week's recommendation was for China Media Express, a Chinese advertising company. And so it's a real report. It's a 1,000-word detailed report outlining why that analyst thought the company was going to perform well, and they publish it around. So there is some attempt to sort of open it up a little.
It's analysts publishing their notes.
It really seems to be it's like niche LinkedIn. It's like this is what you would normally do on LinkedIn. Everybody's got a profile. And you have to sort of be legit. You have to actually have a work email
Tyler,
to sign in.
You have in your life been a day trader and traded stocks for a living. What do you think of this idea?
This makes me think of opening a hardware store next to a tire store.
Unpack that for us.
Yeah, unpack it.
I like now that I get the benefit of the doubt that I have something to my madness here.
Hardware store next to a
tire store.
Right.
Because you have your nails and screws at the hardware store that happen to be in the parking lot next to the tire store.
Right.
Okay.
So they're serving their own customers, a full service kind of situation?
It's just convenient that the tire store, you know.
Right. So I buy this I read this report, I go buy stock, I lose my money, I have to go to a hedge fund to try to make more money back or something.
Right. And it's
basically a loop. It's enough information to get you in trouble.
They're going to leak out, one a week that after they're already in it, and it's very self-serving, all of that.
All right.
I think that counts. I'll give that insight status. I'm going with it.
Very good insight status. You got out of there alive. Thank you, Lon, for your great news. Thank you. Bottom of the ninth. Thank you, Tyler.
Just under the radar. Yeah.
Just in there.
Snuck that one in.
Let me say thank you to all of our sponsors: Ustream, PowerVPS, BenQ with a great projector.
Big thanks to BenQ. And there is a note
DNA
on there.
Mail, WebSpy, PowerVPS.
Everybody who wants to participate in the Ask Jason or the Shark Tank segments, we have tiny URLs. They are on there at the end, right in your sort of closing notes.
Yes, my closing notes. tinyurl/AskJason.
Or tinyurl/Jason Shark Tank.
Jason Shark Tank.
If you want to be on the Ask Jason or the Shark Tank segments, that will take you right to a form. Fill it out. It lets us know how to contact you, what your ideas, what you want to ask about.
Tomorrow, 11 a.m., we're going to have the thisweekend.com casting call.
Here in the Santa
studio,
Monica
Kevin
office.
Pollak and I will be interviewing people.
Yes.
And you guys have a full lineup that you're going to be filling for all the big categories like video games, movies,
we have a lot of shows
television.
in mind that we're looking for people: movies, video games, TV, and gadgets,
cars, gadgets, whatever.
Green. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. However, we'd also like to meet people who just have their own ideas. I mean, if you've got a show you'd be great at, it's your area of expertise, even if it's not sort of on our radar, we want to hear the pitch. We want to know, what
This
week
in Androids, 4 p.m. Fridays, coming up next in just 31 minutes. This week in Venture Capital, of course, 2 p.m. Wednesdays, don't miss it. That's Pacific time. And This Week in Cloud Computing, 3:30 p.m. Wednesdays, right after This Week in Venture Capital, which is doing phenomenal.
Yes. Probably our fastest growing show. We have a couple shows that do get a little more downloads than Venture Capital, but Venture Capital week to week is really building a huge audience.
Yeah. Open Angel Forum, June 18th in Boston. If you know anybody in Boston who's an entrepreneur, if you know any journalists in Boston, if you know anybody in Boston, let them know about this. Ask them to tweet it because we desperately got to get some entrepreneurs to pitch. We had a great pitch session here in Los Angeles and a lot of funding going on. I will be in New York City for TechCrunch Disrupt. And in the winter, I will be hosting the launch conference. If you would like to come to the launch conference for free, you have to be in the chat room 10 weeks, not in a row, but 10 weeks between now and the winter. So you got 6 months to do that. If you come to 10 shows and you check in,
you have to check in with Roberta
and tweet.
DM her. She's this week in the chat room. She's the one showing up red. DM her within the chat room. Say, I'm here, I'm checking in. And that you also have to tweet.
Right.
Launch conference should be in the tweet. Hashtag
TWiST.
TheLaunchConference.com. TheLaunchConference.com. And
we want the URL
TWiST.
to get out there, right?
Right.
And hashtag
so whatever else you write, obviously make it nice. Don't say, screw
launch
you.
Conference.
Right. TheLaunchConference.com and hashtag TWiST. That has to be in the tweet. Anything else you can write.
All right.
Your own.
I got to go check my Facebook page.
See
you next week.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.